Hey guys, welcome to the YouTube channel. If you're new here, as always, it's 𝗙𝗶𝗀𝗀𝗃. Thank you so much for the love and support. To everybody that is subscribed, I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. So in this video, this is something that really touched my soul. It touched my spirit. So let's first watch this clip and then let's talk about it.
This poem is inspired by a Facebook post where I asked black people, if you could write a letter to white people, what would you say? Dear white people, I don't even know where to start. In between my busy schedule comprised entirely of surviving white America, there is simply no time to write letters. Besides, any letter I write will most likely bring tears to your eyes, and I, for one, have had my fill of white tears. There are days I think you aren't worth my ink, that your whiteness is draining me of too much energy. Can't give you a taste of the tea for fear you'll colonize the whole kitchen. But today, I am too angry to remain silent. Dear white people, stop making everything about you and how uncomfortable you are. I honestly don't give a flying fuck about your comfort level. You have made my very existence an exercise in discomfort. It is time for you to make room at the table. Better yet, go sit in the living room. I am not here to coddle your feelings, not here for your amusement. No, you cannot touch my hair. This isn't a damn petting zoo. And stop coming into my office asking for the managers if you aren't already looking at one. Dear white people, stop telling me about this colorblind society you allegedly live in. Telling me you don't see race is the racist drivel I hope you choke on. Telling me you respect me but don't see my color is like saying you have to pretend I'm not black in order to respect me. But let me assure you, I am black, though there are plenty of things I'm not, like your sassy black friend. Stop saying, hey girl, when you see me. You ain't that slick. I hear the way you talk to Becky and Steve every day. You sound like Vacation on Martha's Vineyard, where you spent summers waiting in the bitter blue of the Atlantic. How I wish my toes could touch the ocean without stepping on the bones of my ancestors. Dear white teachers, why don't I know who my ancestors are? Why is only one part of my history important enough to teach? And for the love of God, stop swiveling your heads every time slavery is mentioned. Newsflash, I wasn't there. And just because I'm the only black person in this class doesn't mean you can ask me to speak on behalf of my race. I believe you really care about the opinion of black students when you stop shutting down conversations because I call a white student racist. Dear white people, why do you hate being called racist more than you hate racism? Why do you listen to Tim Wise over actual black people about the black experience? Dear white people, stop using black on black crime as a reason we shouldn't be outraged by the murder of black people by white cops. If a black person kills a black person, they will go to jail, and that is what we call justice. If a white cop kills a black person, they will get paid leave, and that is what we call justice. Apparently, justice is when a black body dies. Dear white people, every time we've written white people, we've written it in lowercase because we are tired of you capitalizing on our pain. We are angry and raw and tired and angry and raw and tired and tired and tired, but we will not rest because we know the future belongs to those who prepare for it, and you have been getting us ready for centuries.
So as you've seen in the video, this is some powerful poem that I cannot take back, and one of the few points, or one of the key points that I got from it, is how passionate we are as people when we are expressing ourselves and how we bring out ourselves. It just feels so powerful. And I love that she wasn't scared to say whatever she said. And one thing that I picked out is no color. I really don't understand when people come to me, or other races of people come to me, and they have to say on how they don't see color, like we are all human beings. We are all one group of people in a pot that God created. And I would say yes, it is. But when you look at the way we are treated in the society, in the communities, in the world, it doesn't really sink in that well. And why do you have to say you don't see color when you can clearly see that I don't look like you? I don't look light-skinned. I am a dark person. Especially me, I'm a dark person. So when you come to me and you're like, well, I don't see color, I see you as you. Then if you don't see color, that means you don't see me as me. You have to pretend, like she said also in the video. You have to pretend for you to see that I exist. And that is insulting. I can't, like, it really gets on my head. And I have some people also, the subject about racism, it's like other races of people really don't like to be called racists. And that's when they're uncomfortable. Why are you uncomfortable? Because if this thing is happening, that means it's in the system. So if you act upon what the system created and it's benefiting you as a person, when I call you such a word, why are you triggered? We need to have this conversation, because if you want to be friends with me, you need to know that these things exist and you should be aware of them. And also, if you are aware of them, why are you uncomfortable when I talk about the issues that are happening? And that's when they want to act like, me, I'm not racist. I didn't say you're racist, but I'm talking about the racism that is happening on people of color, whether it's, let's say, black people or any other person of color. And that's where a lot of, let's say, white people get kind of defensive. I'm not trying to blame anybody. I don't blame white people today like the normal people who are not in government, because also the government that controls the world is mostly the image and the organization that puts out laws that we all follow. Of course, they have to put it in their favor and in the favor of their people. But the fact is, why do we have to always have to push so hard for us to be heard? And then when you come out and you're, let's say, my white friend, and then I tell you about the system that is happening, then you want to tell me on how you don't see color. You want to tell me on how we are all human beings. You want to tell me how you're not a racist, but then racism is happening. And then when I come to you to talk about it, and then you want to gaslight the situation, or you don't want to talk about the situation. Even in schools, teaching about slavery, you're going to start acting weird and feeling uncomfortable. But why are you feeling uncomfortable when your ancestors really did what happened to my ancestors? If I'm willing to learn about the situation, why can't you be willing to learn about the same situation and understand how the systems work? Also, the fact is, every time it comes to presenting, let's say, black issues, or talking about black issues or African issues, there's this thing I used to see on the media where they are putting people who are not even African or black people talking about black issues, and sometimes they would say it in a way of gaslighting the situation. Why would you give attention to a person who has not experienced what black people or people of color have experienced? Like, why would you give a platform to a white person to explain the pain that black people go through, when you can also just listen to what people are saying? It's like the incident of George Floyd, where people had to go on the streets and then start making chaos and have to fight to have their voice be heard on how Black Lives Matter. Like, if racism didn't exist, I don't think that situation would happen. I don't think it would escalate to the way that it did. I feel like people were so pissed, people were so angry, people were so done and fed up. And that's why the movement also happened. So if you're living in a system where even people have to fight to have a voice, why would you gaslight that racism is not happening and then you don't want to be called a racist? But you're living in a racism society that benefits you more in every sector, every direction, every place. Everywhere you go as a white person, you're going to still benefit no matter how. And it's just ironic how they don't want to talk about it. But still, I do appreciate the ones that come out and talk about it. Guys, there's this guy that really talks about black issues, and I love him.
Listen, black guy that's always saying racist things towards white people.
Here we go.
All lives matter. All lives matter.
All lives matter. Okay. Who are you again?
A skateboarder was caught defacing a statue of George Floyd just 2 days after it opened to the public.
So what? Who gives a poop?
No, not that. That's just a conservative constantly disrespecting the black community. Let's dig deeper.
I will never know what it's like to be pulled over being brown or black. But I do know what it's like to be pulled over being poor, having no license, can't afford insurance, have no insurance, and have warrants. I do know what it's like to be in prison. And I do know this. If you just cuff up when they tell you you're under arrest and go to jail, you're going to have your day in court and you're going to be alive. If you want to hold court in the streets and fight the police and run away from the police and all that shit, you're playing with your life, regardless what color your skin is.
Okay, so you've been to prison, been arrested, and had to deal with the cops. But how did that go?
I felt this pain in my side because there was a fight breaking out. I'm in the middle of a fight. I felt this pain in my side. I'm like, I'm getting fucking stabbed again. My first reaction, I was like, boom. And it was a cop. He was tasing me. And his face, blew up. He hit the ground. And as I turned around and looked, there's like 5 more cops. And I'm like, okay. Yeah.
But I thought you said if you just listen to the cops and don't resist arrest, you'll be okay, right?
Also, there's no such thing as white privilege. If you were born in the United States of America, you're already privileged.
No such thing as white privilege. Haven't you been arrested like numerous times?
I've been in and out of jail since the day I could go to jail. Since the day I was legally able to go to jail, I was in and out of jail my whole teenage years and 20s and everything.
And what happened to those charges?
They ended up dropping it down to aggravated battery, great bodily harm. And since we had never had any felonies on our records before, it was just, they dropped it down to aggravated battery and great bodily harm, and we got probation. And people were pissed.
But why were the people pissed? Like, what was the reason?
And it might have been because we're white. I've never said that in my life. I've actually never said that in my life.
So you do admit there is white privilege?
I'll tell you this, though. If we would have been in Cook County, like Chicago area, Cook County, we wouldn't even been in court. It wouldn't even have been, we wouldn't even gotten in trouble. Yeah. But it was in Will County.
It's like it's staring them right in the face, but they refuse to see it.
Oh, is this you? Stand next to a Rolls Royce and a jet? You're so oppressed, Jesus.
So to all the conservatives who like to follow this man with his 2.6 million followers, this is who he really is. The man who likes to resist arrest, fight cops, and tries to deny white privilege. The truth always comes out. Doses.
So guys, as you've seen in the video, this is the creator that I really admire on the internet. He's a white man, as you can clearly see, but I love his personality. I love his energy on how he comes out, and he's very passionate to talk about black issues, black atrocities, people of color issues. This is what we really need from white people, because I'm not going to come to you and tell you that all white people are evil. Still, I'm not going to come to you and tell you that white people have to go on the streets and make chaos, because they still don't have that much of power. The power is mostly in the governments, because we all know governments love to be in power. But still, what we don't want to see is you white people gaslighting the fact that you're privileged, that your life is just easy. You don't have to push harder than we do. You don't have to think about your skin, and you even have the energy to gaslight and say all people are the same, all lives matter, we are all the same, which can be true, but are we equally the same in the societies that we live in? Do we benefit the same way as you guys do? Do we move on the streets without fear like you guys do? Like, those are the things that you really need to think about as a white person. And I do acknowledge and I really appreciate those that come out, like this gentleman right there that you saw, and talk about these issues. And like the lady said in the poem, the black lady, we are tired and tired and tired of having to raise our voices to be heard, like the situation of George Floyd, where people had to come out and make noise and, you know, distract places and have to scream so hard to be heard. That is where you know that we are living in a society that is not equally to all people, to all lives. Don't gaslight my color, because if you don't see my color, you're not seeing me for who I am. It's just simple. It's just that simple. Acknowledge it and accept it. Don't feel uncomfortable when I come and I tell you that your ancestor hurt my ancestors, your ancestors killed my ancestors, because it happened. Why do you have to gaslight the issue? If I am willing to learn about it as even a personal descendant of my slave ancestors, why do you have to gaslight and pretend and don't want to talk about what your ancestors did in the history to colonize other nations and kill people? Because they did. It is in history. Just acknowledge it and try to be a different ancestor of the future. Be a different person today, and the world is going to be a better place. Like, that is all I can say, really, guys. And yeah, one last thing is, I'm tired of seeing people that don't look like me on TV, on media, trying to convince people on how our issues as Africans, as black people, are really not a big deal. Because if you've never experienced it, if you're a white person and you've never been a dark-skinned person like myself, there's no way you can talk in a sense of you understand what I go through. Talk about the atrocities that are done, but don't come and act or pretend to actually know more of how I feel passing through the society. That's it. So guys, that was it for today. I hope you liked the video. Please subscribe if you haven't, and comment, tell me what you think, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.